Well, thank you, Christy. You actually did take my opening line about the comment about copper. So, Rob, thank you very much for that this morning. Look, maybe just a little bit of background about Aeris. As a management team, we've been involved now for just on 7 years. We got involved with the company 7 years ago. At the time, there was $145 million US in debt, 2 operating mines, and both were losing money. 7 years later, the balance sheet looks a lot better, and we'll talk a bit about that. The one asset we had in Indonesia, we basically went to the creditors and said, look, you can have the keys, we want a clean exit. And what we got now is the Tritton Copper mine, and obviously looking to see how we grow the business. So I'll talk you through all of that as we go through the presentation. We'll just go through those. So what's left in the company right now? We got the Tritton Copper mine. We're forecasting to produce 24,500 tonnes of copper this financial year. We've done 26,800 last year. We typically will have 2 underground mines. So we got the Tritton Copper mine or underground mine and the Murrawombie currently running. We'll go through those in a bit more detail. 1.8 million tonnes process facility, and currently we've got a 4-year reserve life. And as we go through the presentation, you'll see that there's significant opportunities to increase that. And I was thinking about it earlier. 7 years ago, I probably said we had 4 or 5 years in reserve life left. So we've proved over the 7 years that there's consistency in our ore bodies and opportunities. Very large package of ground around the mine, 2,100 square kilometres of ground. The southern part has been explored, and that's where most of the mines are currently. The northern part, underexplored, and we have moved our focus in there, and I'll give you a bit of a rundown on those. We also have the Torrens joint venture in South Australia with Argonaut Resources. We got 70%, they got 30%. Very large anomaly in the right address between Olympic Dam and Carrapateena. We've done a few holes this year, and I'll talk you through the plans, how we plan to move that project forward. As I said earlier, we used to be a bigger company, 2 operating mines. We are now, with a better balance sheet, we are looking at how do we grow this business by looking at adding more assets into the portfolio. We are looking, obviously, copper would be perfect, because those who know the copper market in Australia will know there's 2 big players, which is Oz and Sandfire in the copper listed space, and that there's not many of us below that within a big margin. So the focus is how do we grow Tritton, how do we grow the business from there, and we'll go through those in a bit more detail. The corporate overview, currently market cap of $38 million. You can see the share price there coming down quite a bit over the last 12 months. Now there's 2 reasons for that. The one is we were trying to buy our neighbouring mine. That deal leaked, and we ended up not doing the deal with Glencore. That was a disappointment for all of us. The other one was the drilling at Torrens. We started the drilling. We successfully drilled 2 holes. We've paused the drilling to see how we can do it better. We'll go through that, but those also was partly the impact of the share price. We have delivered every time so far what we told the market. That's just purely driven by the sentiment of those 2 elements. You see there we got 43 million Australian dollars in debt left. That used to be 140 million US. We got that debt down from 140 to 30 million. That's 30 million US. And it was really just through ongoing restructuring with the bank, and we paid about $30 million to get it to that level from where we were. So very good work by the team to get the debt restructured and set the balance sheet up for moving forward. You can see the net debt on that slide sitting at about $20 million between cash and debt. One of our major shareholders is PAG, it's a private equity fund out of Hong Kong. They came in, we did the first round of restructure with Standard Chartered Bank. Very supportive shareholder, very supportive of growth, and keen to look with us to how do we move the business and actually grow the business going forward. So Tritton over the last 7 years has shown that it consistently can produce. You can see there where it is. It sits between the town of Nyngan and Cobar. Very large package of, if I can find this, very large package of ground. You can see the CSA copper mine. You can see Aurelia sitting there. So it's in a region where there's quite a bit of mining happening, and we've been there, and the mine has been operating from 2005, and it's produced more than 320,000 tonnes of copper. We'll talk a little bit more about it, but the two main deposits, you can see there, the Tritton deposit is already over 20 million tonnes, which has been defined, and Murrumbidgee is already more than 10. So there's some big deposits in that region. So that's the last 7 years. You can see consistently, and that ramp up on copper production from 20-odd thousand tonnes, where we were losing, I guess, about $2 million a month, to producing 30,000 tonnes of copper, was in that period where we negotiated with the banks, and the guys at the mine has done an amazing job to turn that mine around. And from then onwards, consistently producing about 25 to 27,000 tonnes of copper. And they're doing a very good job at keeping that up. The 4-year mine plan, as I said earlier, basically will come from the Tritton underground mine, which sits right next to the process facility. There's a deposit which we'll talk about, which is Budgeriggar, sitting right basically in the infrastructure of Tritton. We'll mine the Murrumbidgee underground, and then we'll finish it off with an open cut. And then we've got 2 other deposits which we'll bring in to the production over that period. But as you'll see on the next slide, basically each one of those deposits has got the opportunity to extend. That is a plan of the Tritton underground mine. You can see it continues at depth. I need to say that the grade is slightly declining. We're looking at ways how we can extract 9 million tonnes of lower grade sitting down the bottom of that mine. It does continue. We have identified some higher grade shoots. The north wing, which you can see there, we're busy drilling that out, so that extends to the north. And then the Budgeriggar deposit, which has always been known, we've done quite a bit more work on it. We're busy with the decline, going out of the decline from Tritton to access Budgeriggar. We're about halfway with that decline. When we get there, we'll drill it out. But you can see already there's a 2.3 million tonne of resource sitting there at 1.5% copper. Now, the beauty of that is it's high up in the mine. We can maintain production levels quite high, mining some at depth, but some high up in the mine will keep us. We produce about 1.2 million tonnes at about 1.6, 1.7% copper out of Tritton at this point in time. The other thing where the geologists are very focused on is what's happening there in this ore body. Not a lot of drilling has been done, not a lot of work on geology has been done. So right now there's a lot more work happening to see what is in there and how we can move that forward. The other one is the Murrumbidgee underground mine. We started this one about 2 years ago. This has been a real big win for us. When we started off, we thought it's going to be about 1.3, 1.4% copper. We're currently mining 1.8 to 2% copper out of this. As we're mining it and we can define the reserve or the resource a bit better, we've identified quite good high grades, and we can maintain about 500 to 600,000 tonnes at very decent grades out of Murrumbidgee. What we've now seen as well, it's actually, we always knew it extends at depth, it's just purely the drilling which hasn't been done. It looks like it's offsetting a little to the north. We drilled all those holes in black, which you can see there, and each one of them, as you can see on that slide, has intersected copper and some really good grades of more than 3 and 4% copper. So there's definitely an opportunity there for us. We're busy drilling out holes further down dip and further to the north to see how far it extends. But that ore body, we believe, will continue, and as that continues, your 4-year life just extend, because none of that is in that 4-year life. Quite exciting stuff for us. This can be a big mine for us for a very long period of time. So, operationally, we've been doing quite well. 25,000 tonnes of copper. The mine is looking after itself. I would like Rob's higher price though, but it is what it is. We make sure we can do what we need to do. But really, the game changer for us is if we can find the next Tritton, or even the next Murrumbidgee. Now on that slide you can see that's the tenement package. That road running from Ningen all the tons so far has been defined out of this southern part, which is about 50 kilometres of prospective corridor, has so far identified 750,000 tons of copper. Now, the northern part hasn't been explored at all. We just finished an EM survey, and by the way, that corridor runs for 65 kilometres and then potentially another 40 kilometres sitting up further north. So we've done an airborne EM over it in the last 6 months, identified 29 new targets, which there's about 9 priority targets, which we're working through. We're busy making sure that there wasn't misreading on some of these, so we're getting some more advice on it. We will then put a ground-based EM survey, which you can then define a lot better what's there, and then we follow that up with drilling. So you think about what it can potentially look. You look at the southern part, which has delivered Tritton plus 20 million tonnes, Murrumbidgee plus 10 million tonnes, and a whole host of smaller projects, and most of those has been mined economically because you've got a host, a base load you can mine. A lot of those become very good fillers to your plant and keep your plant full. So the target for the northern part of this package is finding 10 million tonnes plus 2%. That's the aim. So the whole airborne EM survey is driven by those priority targets which we've defined. We'll all be looking for how do we look at finding the next Tritton. That's just an extract that you can see. That's how they do the airborne EM, and I don't know where's the black map's not supposed to be black, but it's black. It was just the 29 targets which sits in there, which we now will work through on the EM survey. So to summarize Tritton, huge exploration upside, good opportunity to extend the life. It's consistently produced, and the guys at the mine has done an amazing job to keep it going, and with a very big focus on the local communities and specifically the local farmers in the drought areas. We've got quite a few of them working for us, which is also helping the local communities in the period we're all in with the drought. Talk a little about Torrens. That's a photo I took when the drill rig was on the lake. It's on a salt lake, on Lake Torrens. That is a drill rig. The only way to get it there is by chopper. We're not allowed to leave any footprints on the lake. So you can imagine that it can be a quite expensive drilling exercise to drill 1,500 metre deep holes, flying everything in and out, all the employees, all the drillers. And I'll get back to that. That's one of the reasons why we're pausing the program. So oh, we're missing a slide. I don't know where is that. But anyway, the Torrens project sits between Olympic Dam and Kiripatina, 75 kilometres south of Olympic Dam and 55 kilometres north of Kiripatina. It's in the right address. It's an IOCG target. In other words, we're looking for something large. They're normally quite deep. So this thing has been in the company for more than 10 years. It's been through a court process. And last year, we got approval to actually drill 70 holes. When that approval came through, that's why the share price has kicked up quite a bit. A lot of excitement because of the target and the size. And we have now, then in the last financial year, we started to do some drilling. There you can see the size of the target. We've started drilling in January 2019. We drilled 1 hole, successful, hit some of the materials you'll be looking for IOCG. We drilled the next 2 holes. We hit an aquifer on both of those. We're not allowed to spill water on the lake. We couldn't get through it. Eventually, we actually capped those holes and moved on to the next one. We drilled the 4th hole, was successful. We got it through about 1,500 metres deep, intersected a little bit of copper, not much. But it gave us a lot of information on the geology of this deposit. Now, we've spent about $1 million a hole for those, and we just decided you can't keep doing that. You cannot keep spending $1 million drilling, and you need to do 70 holes. You can do the maths. It just doesn't work. So we've paused the program. It's got 29 targets on it. We need to narrow that down. We need to understand better where we need to focus. So we're doing some more geophysical work, trying to define the structures. We're also trying to do a lot more work on trying to define where's that aquifer, because you don't necessarily want to go through it if there's not a great target sitting on it. We're looking at the costs associated to drill this, moving the camp closer, maybe using a bigger chopper, maybe using hovercrafts, but you have to do this cheaper than what we've done it before. So a lot of focus is going on that. Once we've done all the work, we've got some specialist guys who knows IOCGs working with us. We'll go back and decide how to move it forward. Still a great target, but from my point of view as AerisResources, the money which we generate from cash should firstly go to exploration at Tritton, where you've got infrastructure to mine and make money from, before you put more money into Torrens. And that's why we want to define it better, and then we'll go back in and have a look. So what I want to leave you with, what we are working with Tritton, good mine, doing well, forecasting 24,500 tonnes at a C1 cost of about $280 to $295 per pound. Exploration is key for us. Tritton is a good mine, 4 years reserve life, a lot more opportunity to find more and extend the current mines, so you don't need to invest that much capital to start new mines. And then, as I said earlier, there is a big opportunity on Torrens. We are very focused on M&A. As I said earlier, we tried to buy the CSA mine from Glencore, couldn't get the right deal, so we moved on. We are focused on copper and gold. Gold would probably be very expensive at this point in time, but in terms of copper, there's quite a few opportunities around, and for us it's about how do we become the mid-tier player in the copper space, where there's no one, sort of by the way, and that would be the focus for us moving forward. Thank you very much.
Wait right there, sir. So, as you all know, I like to Facebook stalk or just stalk in general, our presenters. And so I did a little bit of stalking on yourself, and I managed to find your Facebook account. And I thought, gee, it's really interesting, all the language that it's written in. And I Google translated it and realised that all your cousins were giving you stick about a certain son that you have.
Yes.
Do you want to enlighten everyone else who may not know? Do you know this fellow?
No.
Do you know him?
Yes, I do. He's my son.
It's
very exciting time for us.
Yeah, so he's done pretty well, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's done very well.
Is he looking forward to the next summer of cricket?
You just need to keep performing. That's the name of the game when you want to play for Australia. You just need to do, and he's doing well. He's doing really well. Thank you very much.
That's right. Do you want to explain to everyone this sort of witty banter that you're having with your cousins back home?
Look, it's obviously, South Africa versus Australia, and they're finding themselves in the middle of who do they support, because the cousin is playing for Australia, so they're all sitting up watching cricket in the middle of the night. When we played in England, it was the right time for them to watch. But they will find it very difficult when we go to South Africa and play. Who do they support?
Good. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Would you thank him very, very much, please, Andre?